Thank you everyone for giving me this opportunity to come out here and meet with you all, because this is a really important race to me, and I really think it's an important race to this community. My name's Olga Seelig, as the mayor just announced me. I'm originally from El Paso, born and raised in El Paso. I have 4 sisters. There are 5 of us, born to Billy Seelig and Catalina Seelig. My dad was a plumber. My mom, Catalina, was a housekeeper and a waitress before marrying my dad and raising my 4 sisters and myself. When I was 18, I had my first daughter out of high school. And recognizing how hard it was going to be to raise that child without any more than a high school education, I went to beauty school. I then worked my way through beauty school, through undergraduate school, with my beautician's license as a hairdresser. And that hard work paid off with my getting a degree in criminal justice, Bachelor's of Science, and then the hard work paid off even further. I was accepted to UT Law, where I came out here with my daughter, and we started on our trek going through law school. I then became a law clerk, which is where I got my first taste of the judiciary while I was at UT Law, working for the Travis County Criminal Court judges. After I got my law license, I became an assistant county attorney, where I prosecuted misdemeanor cases, actually in Court 3, the court that I'm running for. I then decided, after my 3 years of experience there, that I was going to try my hand at the other side, so that I could be challenged further. I went out, became I would call it a public defender, because I was court-appointed attorney, both here in Travis County and in Williamson County. I went out, I defended indigents that couldn't afford counsel. I also defended people who could afford me, and they retained me. Also learned civil law while I was out there in private practice. All these factors and all this broad experience brought me to the court, the municipal court, in 2005. I began my first bench at the Austin Municipal Court, where I've been presiding over criminal trials for the last 4 years, Class C misdemeanors. As the mayor just said, there are differences, they are misdemeanor courts, but the difference is that right now I'm presiding over Class C misdemeanors. Should I be elected to this position, I would then be hearing cases that are Class A and Class B misdemeanors. Only difference between them is that I could incarcerate a person in the Class A and Class B misdemeanor court, in County Court 3. But there's something more that brings me to this table and brings me to this community to ask for your support and your vote. It's about the people that have brought me here, the people that were in front of me in the court, that needed my help, that came to me and asked me for their assistance. It's that's brought me here, and I hope that I can count on your support and your vote. Thank you.
Southwest Key, we appreciate the ability to come out here, and the leadership group, the time and effort y'all have spent in making questions. This is a race for a misdemeanor court, which we don't deal with all the sexy, the cases, the murders, the rapes, the big publicity type cases. What we deal with are 95% of these cases are individuals who have made a mistake that anybody in this room, including us, could have made. DWI cases, for example. Can everyone here say that they've always not driven when they may have had one too many? That's a simple question. These are cases which are closer to the people. I've got 23 years of criminal law experience in Travis County, Texas, and this is a criminal bench. That's why my qualifications are the best in this race. I was an appellate lawyer. You heard about the other folks who were running for district court talking about appellate lawyers. I was an appellate lawyer at the highest criminal court in the state for almost 4.5 years. There I learned how not to make mistakes at the trial level, what trial judges should and should not do. Before that, I represented people as a union rep who had been fired from their work. I was a shuttle bus driver at the University of Texas. I represented in grievance arbitration proceedings people who had been fired. After I left the Court of Criminal Appeals, after I graduated from law school, I went over to the county attorney's office, and I have been a prosecutor over there for, it'll be 19 years in January. And I've done that for a reason, because I believe that I've made a difference in the lives of people there. A good prosecutor is one who doesn't seek a conviction but sees that justice is done. It's in the Code of Criminal Procedure. I've always practiced that. I've always taught that. I've got over 150 jury trials under my belt myself, with a couple of hundred more jury trials when I've been teaching people. I teach at every police academy around here. I try to teach them how to do things the right way and not the wrong way. I teach on an ad hoc basis at the Criminal Defense Clinic at the University of Texas. And I go into colleges and high schools because I believe that you have to teach young people what the law is. I believe very strongly that we have to do something about rehabilitation within the justice system. If anything, over the last 19 years has shown me is that putting people in prison for nonviolent drug and alcohol offenses does not work. We need more rehabilitation and less retribution. What's very near and dear to my heart are that group of people between, say, the age of 17, when they first turn to be adults, because that's who we deal with, to 23 or 24. Especially young men who at the age of 17 to 19 to 20 really aren't adult, are we, at that age? Not a lot of us. But who get into trouble. And they're treated as adults so they can be sent to jail. We don't send people to prison in misdemeanors, we send them to jail, to Del Valle. So the question is, what do we do to divert that? And one of the things we have to do is we have to look at those individuals and we have to make the decision, like I do now as a prosecutor, that I'm going to put that person on deferred prosecution. I'm going to give them an opportunity to change their life. And you put someone on deferred prosecution like I do, sometimes I have them do something like write me a 5,000-word theme. Okay? Don't want to lose anybody now. But this is why you do it. You have to engage the person's intellect. You have to show them that doors can be opened. You have to get their mind going. So what they do is it's always in 3 parts. And I've done this probably for 18 years. Part 1 is how I got myself into trouble. Okay? Nobody else, myself. Part 2 is how I'm going to get myself out of trouble. And part 3, which is the one that I really like, is what I would like to be doing in 10 years. What I see myself doing in 10 years. Obviously, the last one has the person thinking about what they want to do.
Well, I've actually had occasion to have to be that judge that had to deal with the young 16-year-old Latina who came into the court because she was charged with a second theft. As a matter of fact, just a few weeks ago, in our juvenile dockets, I was having to deal with a little girl who was sitting there with her 2-month-old baby being charged for the second time with theft. She had been put on this deferred prosecution, it's called deferred disposition, and in the class of misdemeanors. And the prosecutor wanted her revoked because she had technically violated her terms of that deferral. And they asked for her to be revoked. I took a look at it, taking into consideration the circumstances, talking to the girl, so I had her approach the bench, and I decided that I didn't want this little girl having a second prosecution on her record. Because after 2 of them, even though this was shoplifting, her third would be charged as a felony. So I took all of that into consideration. I didn't want her to go out into the adult world to have these criminal prosecutions and these convictions on her record. I wanted her to learn the lessons from already having been in my court. So we talked, and I gave her that second chance. I wanted her to understand I was giving her a second chance so that she could make a difference, and she could make a difference in that child's eyes, that 2-month-old child that she had in her arms in my courtroom.